Most people believe that it's best to store all food items in the fridge. But did you know that putting certain foods in the fridge can actually do more harm than good? In some cases, refrigeration can change the taste and texture of the food. Even more concerning, for some foods, keeping them in the fridge can alter their chemical composition and lead to the formation of harmful substances, including carcinogens. So in today's video, we'll take a look at which foods are best kept in the fridge and which ones are better stored outside of it. Let's get started. The first item on our list is eggs. Right after a hen lays an egg, the egg is coated with a natural protective layer called the cuticle. Even though eggs may look solid on the outside, their shells actually have between 7,000 and 18,000 tiny pores. These pores allow moisture and carbon dioxide to escape from the inside of the egg, while at the same time preventing harmful microorganisms from getting in. It's a fascinating natural defense. But when eggs are washed with water, this protective cuticle gets damaged. This makes it easier for bacteria, like Salmonella, to enter the egg. If someone eats food contaminated with Salmonella, they may experience diarrhea, painful stomach cramps, headaches, fever, vomiting, and nausea. In severe cases, the bacteria can enter the bloodstream or even the central nervous system, causing widespread inflammation throughout the body. There is still an ongoing debate around the world about whether eggs should be washed or not before being sold. That's why, when buying eggs from the supermarket, it's important to check if they have been washed or not. If they have been washed, it's best to keep them in the fridge. Even if you're not sure whether your eggs have been washed, storing them in the fridge is the safer choice. Research shows that if the surface or inside of the egg is contaminated with Salmonella, it can reach dangerous levels after about 3 weeks at room temperature. But if the eggs are kept in the fridge, the bacteria hardly grows even after 6 weeks. So eggs should be stored in the fridge whenever possible. To keep them even fresher and avoid contaminating other foods, place them in a separate container on the lower shelf of the fridge. The second item is potatoes. Potatoes are well loved for their soft texture and mild flavor, but surprisingly, they're also one of the trickier foods to store properly. When potatoes are kept in cold temperatures, especially below 4 degrees Celsius, the amount of reducing sugars, like glucose, starts to increase. When these sugars are later exposed to high heat, they react with the natural compound in potatoes called asparagine. This reaction produces a chemical known as acrylamide. Acrylamide is classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a potential human carcinogen. This harmful substance naturally forms in high carbohydrate foods like potatoes when they are cooked at high temperatures, over 120 degrees Celsius, for long periods of time. The more the potatoes are fried or baked, such as in crisps or chips, and the longer they're cooked, the more acrylamide is created. Research has shown that acrylamide can be toxic to the nervous system in both animals and humans. It may also cause genetic mutations, stomach tumors, and toxicity in the kidneys and liver. To keep potatoes safer to eat, it's best not to store them in the fridge or in cold areas like a chilly veranda. Instead, keep them in a cool, dry place that stays above 8 degrees Celsius and out of direct sunlight. This helps reduce the risk of harmful chemical changes while keeping your potatoes fresh. The third item is nuts. Nuts are widely known for their health benefits, and many people make a habit of eating them regularly. But if nuts aren't stored properly, they can actually become harmful to your health. In a study conducted by a food company, over 56.2% of people were found to store nuts the wrong way. About 30.6% kept them in places that are easy to reach, while 25.6% stored them in areas like the kitchen or even near the ceiling. But storing nuts indoors like this can lead to the growth of a dangerous toxin called aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. It's been linked to serious health conditions such as liver cirrhosis, liver damage with bleeding and tissue death, and even liver cancer. Aflatoxin is especially dangerous because it cannot be removed by washing or heating the nuts. That's why prevention through proper storage is so important. Aflatoxin grows most easily in warm, humid environments, specifically at temperatures above 25 degrees Celsius and relative humidity between 60 and 80%. To prevent this, it's best to store nuts in vacuum-sealed containers or Ziploc bags, remove as much air as possible, and keep them in the fridge or freezer. This helps protect the nuts from going bad and keeps them safe to eat. The fourth item is sesame oil and perilla oil. These plant-based oils are high in unsaturated fatty acids, which means they can spoil easily when exposed to air, light, or heat for long periods. So, proper storage is especially important. Sesame oil is made by pressing roasted sesame seeds. It contains a natural compound called lignan, which helps prevent it from going rancid. Because of this, sesame oil can be safely stored at room temperature in a shaded area for up to 2 years. In fact, putting sesame oil in the fridge can cause a freezing effect that makes sediment harden, and this can reduce its rich flavor and aroma. So it's best to store sesame oil at room temperature. Perilla oil, on the other hand, is very different. It does not contain compounds like lignan that protect it from spoiling. And it's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are very sensitive to air and moisture. That's why perilla oil must be stored in the fridge with the lid tightly sealed. It's also very sensitive to light and heat, so it's a good idea to wrap the bottle in newspaper or something similar to block out light. After opening, it's best to use perilla oil within 1 month. Here's a useful tip. If you mix perilla oil and sesame oil in an 8:2 ratio, the lignan from the sesame oil helps extend the shelf life and adds more nutrition. This can be a great way to make the oil last longer while still enjoying its health benefits. The fifth item is raw chicken. Many people like to cook raw chicken at home from time to time, especially for a nourishing meal. But did you know that raw chicken, if not handled properly, can actually lead to serious illness? One of the biggest concerns when cooking raw chicken at home is a bacteria called Campylobacter. This bacteria lives in the intestines of animals, livestock, and birds. If a person becomes infected, they may experience symptoms like fever, fatigue, headache, muscle aches, vomiting, stomach pain, and diarrhea. Campylobacter infection usually happens when meat is not fully cooked or is eaten raw. So the good news is, as long as the chicken is thoroughly cooked, the bacteria is destroyed and won't cause any harm. But the real danger often comes from the ingredients around the raw chicken. When washing raw chicken, water can splash and unknowingly contaminate nearby food. You might also touch other ingredients with unwashed hands after handling raw chicken, or accidentally spread bacteria through cutting boards, knives, or other kitchen tools. Cross-contamination can also happen in the fridge. If raw chicken touches fruits or vegetables that you eat raw, Campylobacter can spread easily. In fact, even a single drop of water from raw chicken can carry enough bacteria to cause infection, so extra caution is needed. To store raw chicken safely, always place it in a sealed container to prevent any juices from leaking out. And keep it on the bottom shelf of the fridge, away from any ready-to-eat foods like fruits or salads. The sixth item is tomatoes. Tomatoes develop their best flavor as they continue to ripen. But cold temperatures inside the fridge can interrupt this natural ripening process. The cold air in the fridge causes the moisture inside the tomato to dry out, As a result, the skin becomes wrinkled, the sweetness decreases, and the texture changes. To keep tomatoes tasting their best, it's better to store them at room temperature, ideally in a cool shaded area between 15 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius. Avoid direct sunlight, but also avoid the fridge if you want your tomatoes to stay juicy and full of flavor. That's all for today. If you found today's video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to share it with someone you care about. I'll be back soon with more useful and informative videos. Until then, stay healthy and take good care of yourself.